Hey everyone, so question 10 here from the past paper link down below. So you can probably see that this is a Venn diagram question from a past paper. Now, I did find this question a bit more complex than the others so far, and I took a certain approach. I don't know whether anyone else took this approach to answer it like this, or, it came with the correct answers, but you guys let me know if you did it a different way, or, how you feel about the approach, because, I think it's a good approach, but I just don't want to confuse people. So let's get into it and see how it goes. So it says, here is some information about 120 people who visit a shop. 3/4 of the people buy neither a coat nor a dress, okay? 19 people buy a coat, 14 people buy a dress, and then we're told to complete this Venn diagram to represent the information. It's a 3-mark question, so E is equal to 120 people who visit the shop. So we're dealing with 120 people overall. That's how many people we're dealing with. That's our total number. C represents people who buy a coat, and D represents people who buy a dress, okay? So we've got the E, everything. So everyone will be covered in that big rectangular square. Anyone in that C circle has bought a coat. Anyone in the D circle has bought a dress. Anyone in that overlapping area of C and D has bought a coat and a dress. And anyone outside the circles but inside the rectangle is part of it. They're part of the people who went to a shop, but they didn't buy a coat, they didn't buy a dress, okay? So that's some context for this question. So the first thing I did is I was like, okay, well, let's work out everyone who doesn't buy a coat or dress, because it says 3/4 of the people did not buy a coat or dress. So we do 3 over 4 times 120 is going to be 90, okay? So we put the 90 on the little bottom right. So that means we're going to be working with 30 in the rest of this area, in those circles. So I put the 90 in there, and what I decided to do is make 3 unknowns of X, Y, Z, okay? Or X, Y, Z. And what I did is I used the fact, for example, anyone who buys a coat, so 19 people bought a coat, that will be in that C circle, okay? So X plus Y is 19, because if they're in that middle part, they bought a coat and a dress, but if they're just in the C circle, they just bought a coat. But it doesn't matter, they still bought a coat, whether they bought more stuff or not, okay? So that's why X plus Y is going to be equal to C. And then Y plus Z is equal to 14, because that's how many people bought a dress, okay? So we kind of have this set of, or I guess we have this pair of equations here, and we have 3 unknowns, okay? The other bit of information I use is that we have X, Y, and Z, but we know X, Y, and Z is going to be equal to 120 minus 90, so going to be equal to 30. I think I mentioned that a second ago, but that's our remainder, because we know, yeah, as I said before, we have the 190 and 20, and we know we're going to be working with 30 people overall. So from there, I took that third equation and I subbed in the first equation. So X plus Y is 19, so if we sub that in, that's going to give us 19 plus Z is equal to 30, okay? That gives us one variable. So when you're working with multiple equations that, are joined together, you want to be able to substitute one into the other, so you only have one unknown variable and the rest are numbers. That way you can work out that variable, and then from there you can unlock the others. It starts like untethering, like it's yeah, that makes sense. If that makes sense, sorry. So 19 plus Z is equal to 30. So Z is equal to 11. Okay, cool. So from here, we know we have the Z equal 11. So let's work out the Y and the Z formula, because we know what Z is equal to. So Y plus Z is equal to 14. Well, if Z is equal to 11, Y is going to be equal to 3. Okay, great. So we've got 2 of the unknown variables now. We've got their numbers. All we have to work out is X now. So X plus Y is 19, so we use that original formula. We know Y is 3, so X is going to be equal to 16. So I feel like that might seem like quite a long or convoluted approach, but I genuinely don't know how everyone else answered it. That's how I answered it. And if you start looking at, oh, well, 14 people bought this coat, and then 19 bought this, and then like, oh, let's just put that there, 19 there, and 14 there. It just doesn't add up. Like, for example, 19 plus 14 is already larger than 30. Like, it's not the correct logic for it. So I think this is probably the best approach for it. But again, I'm open to other approaches. I hope it made sense for everyone else. I don't know if it's a bit too advanced for this level, tackling it like this. But anyway, I hope it helped. And yeah, I imagine this is probably quite a long video now. So hopefully it helped. Leave comments down below. I'm happy to explain more. And anyone else who did it a different way or thinks of a better way, you're welcome to share that with everyone else as well. So do what you feel. So thanks for watching. Best of luck with everything. And yeah, see you later.